I realize it's late. It's like dreamy time, and I just got through playing World of Warcraft, and then I went downstairs and I made some chicken salad for tomorrow with walnuts and raisins in it. So I was getting ready to go to bed, and a thing popped up. Cause my phone was dead because I forgot to um plug it up when I got home. So a thing popped up on my Google that I had a message. Like, like when somebody leaves a message on your YouTube. And so I went to my YouTube to read the comments. And I remember I told y'all about the scarf that my friend had sent me a picture of and said, "Do you think you could do something like this?" And I was like, "I can try it." And so I took and I did the best of my ability to figure out that pattern just by looking at the picture. It's not exactly like it because the pattern they worked the tail portion flat, and they used lime brand yarn. It looked like it was bulky yarn from the picture. And they um, used either a front post loop or a back post loop to cause a ridge along, like with my granddaughter's sweater that I made. But if you do the back loop, it'll make this ridge in the work pattern work. And so I was like, I don't really want to do that, so I didn't do the ridge. And then I did the tail part. Instead of working it flat, I decided to work it in the round. So that it would be like, like when you do the elf hat or the Santa hat, and then you put the pom pom on the end. And so it would be like that instead of the work flat. That's how I chose to interpret the picture or the pattern to make it like something that I would make, something that I could make that was fast and something that was fun, that kept the fun in it for me. Since I didn't have a pattern and I didn't buy the pattern because I've been crocheting most of my life. So if it's something that I actually need a pattern for to get it exactly like the pattern, then I will buy the pattern. But I'm not gonna buy a pattern over $5. If it's over $5, then I'd rather just sit there and make a bunch of them and figure out the pattern or the look on my own. That's just me because my budget. But you don't see me going to people's YouTube channels and blowing them up or being negative to them and stuff like that. You don't see me going on to Ravelry and other places being negative to people and being nasty to people and stuff like that. I chose not to purchase the pattern because I thought that I could figure it out in a way that I like, in a way that my friend liked. And that's what I did. I took my paper and my notebook, and I made a prototype in a way that I would like it. And then I went back to my notebook and my paper, and I figured out how to do the pattern so that she would like it. Because I showed her the prototype, but she wanted to have more ruffles. So she has 5 ruffles instead of 4. And she's a broad shouldered person. So I used worsted weight yarn. So I had to use a lot more yarn for her pattern um, to get it to go around her shoulders because she's a wider shouldered person. But those are things that I had to do on my own to figure out to get that aesthetic that she wanted, and because I didn't buy the pattern. So now my YouTube is being blown up from people, including the designer of that pattern, who made that pattern in 2020 in crochet. And the thing about it is that a person knit a pattern almost just like this called the Olden Patterns Ravelry store. And it's suggested yarn was Elise Superwash, and it's crochet, and it had multiple keyholes, and this was in 2016. Like I said, there's nothing new under the sun. This pattern was done in crochet and it was done in knit. Someone did a shawl in knit that's similar to the virus shawl, and they had several keyholes, and then they decreased until their scarf was like a little point, and then they pulled that decrease through those eyes on that shawl. That's the first time I ever saw that, and that was at Maryland Sheep and Wool when I saw that design. So there's nothing new under the sun. Yes, everybody does things. Instead of putting 3, you put 4. Instead of putting 2, you put 2. Instead of putting 1, you put 4. People change up patterns all the time. Keyholes are not new. I'm not diminishing that person's efforts. I'm not diminishing anything about it. I'm just saying that me personally, I'm not spending $7 on a pattern that I can sit down and I can come up with something similar just from looking at the picture. And encourage people that also, if they're on a budget, that they can sit down and they can look at a pattern, or they can look at a project and they can say, well, how can I make this for myself or for my friend or for my family member myself if I don't have the funds to purchase a pattern? And you can sit down with your book like I did, and you can look at the picture that someone sent you, and you can say, you can do a prototype like I did. Before she gave me the picture, she described it to me. And you can try to figure it out for yourself, because that'll help you increase your skills as a crocheter or as a knitter when you try to do things on your own. That'll help you increase your skills. That'll help you with your thought processes. That'll help you with a lot of things when it comes to making projects and stuff. So this was, after I did my prototype, this was the picture that I drew with my little holes in it for my eyelets, for my keyholes, and where I started going through trying to figure out what I needed to do to get that aesthetic. And then it's how I decided to do my bottom part in a tube using like a elf hat or whatnot versus working it flat. These are just things that I chose to do when I was looking at the picture, trying to figure out, well, how could I do this and it still be aesthetically pleasing, something that my friend would like, since I'm not going to buy the pattern. I told people where they could find the pattern. I told people the name of the pattern in case they wanted to go buy the pattern, if they didn't want to sit down and try to figure it out on their own. But apparently the YouTube community has a problem with people figuring things out on their own, or figuring things out in a way that they want to do it versus purchasing a pattern or whatnot. So if you want to find a pattern from 2016, it's called TC. I can't pronounce it because it looks like Nordic or French, but it's PFEILRAUPE. And this is the first on Ravelry pattern that I found, which is pretty much the same thing, only they did their loops a little bit differently. Like I said, everybody can change things up and say it's theirs, but it doesn't mean the concept is theirs. So for those people who support the designer of the Carrie scarf cowl, good for you. But don't come leaving your comments and stuff on my channel because I chose to go a different route. I'm not writing up a pattern. I'm not selling a pattern. I'm not selling a product. All I did was I was challenged by my friend. Do you think you can make something that looks like this? And I made something that looks like that. I've been crocheting probably longer than you've been alive. So I'm not trying to make her design be something that is not. I'm not trying to put her down or anything like that. I'm just saying, me personally, I'm not spending $7 on a pattern with design concepts that are old. They've been out there for a long time. She just chose to use it in a different way. So if my friend had come to me and said, I like the keyhole scarf, but can you do more than one keyhole to pull it through? Then I could have been like, well, yeah, that's no problem. That's easy. That's for me though. But that's because I've been crocheting most of my life. So I'm just saying, you know, I'm not gonna block you or anything like that. Um, I didn't even know the person had a channel. I never heard of them before until my friend showed me that picture, and I put the picture through Google because she saved the picture to one of her Pinterest feeds. It popped up some kind of way in one of her Pinterest feeds, and she was like, and she liked it. That's how she told me about it. I put the picture in Google, and Google sent me to Ravelry, and that's how I found out the name of the pattern, so I can share it with everyone, so they can say I could tell them if you're looking for it, if you don't want to try to figure it out on your own, then you can go purchase the pattern. But I can figure out the majority of it on my own. So why would I go buy a pattern when I could do it myself? I buy patterns that I'm not gonna pay $7 for a pattern. That's number one because it's not in my budget. And if I can't figure it out, if it's knit, crochet, or whatever, if I can't figure it out, then I just won't make it. It's that simple. Or I can just have fun trying to figure it out, and whatever I come up with, I come up with. But you don't see me going to people's channels and saying, "Oh, hmm, I saw that pattern 10 years ago when I first started knitting, made by such and such." You don't see me going on people's channels and doing that to them because there's nothing new under the sun. People figure out things on their own and they make the things on their own. So it's just that's just that. So I shared the link to it. I told people how to find it if they wanted to buy the pattern. And if anything, that should have probably brought in a couple of sales for this individual. But I just don't get it. I mean, I just don't get it. Um, it's just weird to me. And there's another pattern called that was made in November of 2020 called the Winter Waves Crochet Scarf Pattern. And it's a free pattern as well. And it has several keyholes for you to drag the end of the scarf through. And she puts a knot on the end of hers instead of putting a tassel on the end of hers. So, like I said, just mind your business. That's basically, mind your business. Nobody's doing nothing to you. Nobody's stealing from you. Because to steal from you would mean that I would have to buy your pattern and use your pattern. And I was very honest to begin with that I wasn't using your pattern. That my friend sent me a picture and asked me if I could do it. And I figured out a similar looking pattern, not using all the concepts that you use on my own. Which, as being a 53-year-old person who's been crocheting most of her life since I was a child, if I couldn't figure out that pattern, then I got no business picking up a crochet hook. It's just that simple, to me anyway. So yeah, you could call off your squad or whatever, or regardless, they could keep posting. I don't care because I'm gonna crochet. I've been crocheting longer than most of y'all been alive, and I'll keep crocheting. And it's just that simple. I see people who do hats and claim the pattern is theirs, but I made hats like that when I was in my teens. It ain't nothing new. So just deal with it. People have their own thoughts, their own desires, their own patterns. There are people in Russia and places like that I follow, Germany that I follow, who have patterns from pattern books from the 1800s that are the same things that people are coming up with today, are patterns that were put out in the 1800s and the 1700s. So don't be trying to say everything is yours. There are people who actually go and looking for those old patterns, redoing them into modern language for share it people for free, and they give acknowledgement to where they saw the pattern at, where the concept came from. So I don't bother nobody. I do my work, I share my work, and I'm honest about what I do. And it's just frustrating to me that people are like that. So yeah, you have a pattern. My friend shared a picture with me. I figured out how to make it, but it's what I did is not your pattern. You even acknowledge that. It's similar to your pattern, but I don't have the same design concepts as your pattern, but it's a similar look. And that's just that. It was something fun to do, something challenging to do. And at the end of the day, my friend gets a scarf that she wants that can be converted into a shawl, a cowl, by pulling that tail through. But it's not exactly like yours. And if someone wants to do one exactly like yours, exactly like the picture, they can go buy your pattern. It's that simple. I did this for fun. I didn't do it to sell an item. I didn't do it to naysay you or anything of that nature. I'm just saying that for me, it's a simple concept. And I said it in the video for me. But if you can't do it, if you don't want to do it, then go buy the pattern. And I gave them the name of your pattern. So hopefully you get some sales from that. Hopefully your friends don't prevent you from getting some sales from that. But I have no reason to get sales for it. I have no reason to sell the item. It was a challenge for my friend, and she was happy with what I came up with. No, it's not exactly like your pattern, but I gave you props for being the idea behind what she wanted. So that's that. And I'm leaving it at that. You need not worry about me or none of my friends going to your YouTube channel, because I haven't showed your YouTube channel to anyone or anything like that. Especially not after your friends came over here saying what they had to say, because they purchased the pattern. Good for them. I'm happy for them. But that being said, I would leave their posts up because I want people to think that I'm getting rid of information, anything like that. So that it's up there. So if anyone wants to say anything or continue on with that thread, then more power to them. You know, let them talk about it. Go ahead and wreck it out, because it's just like the Kango hat. The Kango hat was originally made up in places in New York and other places where the hip hop community made them famous for some of these companies like Reebok and whatnot, and Kango and other companies that were making a Kango hat. But those Kango hats was out way before then. In the 30s and 40s, the newsboy hat transformed into the Kango hat when men started using them for like a little church hat and stuff, because stuff became so expensive for black men and stuff that they couldn't afford getting the little dapper hats that they used to wear. And so they had to come up with something that was smaller, use less material. So, but then there was other people who were making similar hats in other countries as well. So you have a lot of different items being made by different cultures and different communities and different countries. And no one person can say, well, my country came up with it first, because all of them have started coming up with ideas to use less materials and make a similar style hat around the same time period. And that's one of the wonderful things about crafts and being creative, is you have all these different people, especially during wartime and stuff like that, who come up with similar ideas using similar materials and to make items, garments, and things of that nature during wartime when they can't go to the stores and buy stuff. So I'm getting off my soapbox. You do you and whatnot. I mean, it's just, to me, it's just wow, wow. And that's one of the things that hurts the community, because now it's like people will be like, I don't even want to give people props for inspiring me, because their friends and stuff might just jump on me trying to say I stole something from somebody or something like that, instead of me figuring shit out, excuse my French, on my own. And then and me trying to get people to figure stuff out on their own, so that if the time comes where they don't have the money to go buy a pattern and things of that nature, they can sit there with a pencil and a what's the word I'm looking for, a graph chart, and they can sit there and try and figure it out on their own. They can make templates and decide, okay, this is similar to that, but I need 4 pleats instead of 2 pleats. So what do I have to do to get it to look more like that picture? So that's my thing. And I'm going to get off my soapbox right now, because I got to go to work in the morning. And that's the other thing. I work full time. So when I crochet and when I knit and when I come on YouTube and stuff like that, it's when I'm not at work, and it's my peaceful time where I can work with my crafts, work with my yarn, work with my spinning, work with my knitting, work with my dyeing, work with my art, my drawing and stuff like that. And speaking of my art, my daughter finally made me the palette that I wanted. So I'll go ahead and share that with y'all. So this is the design that I came up with that I asked, because she made me one before, and then I showed y'all these before, the little palettes. But with watercolor, you can't see, the pigment well with these. So I asked her to make me one like this that was white, so it's easy for me to see the pigment. And so she came up with this one with the picture that I drew for her. And yeah, so I'm gonna let y'all go. I just had to get it out because I'm not taking that to bed with me tonight. And that's that. So yeah, that is that. Oh, I forgot it was off. I was sitting there looking at my thingy. No, somebody else complained. Somebody had bought the pattern. The designer didn't seem upset, no, but one of her admirers or customers who purchased the pattern, they were the ones that were upset. And apparently they said, let me see if I can find it and I can read it to you. Comments. They said, I just watched your interpretation of the Carrie Kehoe scarf. Your efforts in trying to copy the pattern and the result leave much to be desired. I can attest to this since I own the pattern and know how it's constructed. Although I may know how to knit and crochet stitches, does that not mean I can look at a creation and interpret it decently? Also, the Kehoe technique is not new as you stated, but it was used to create a new pattern. And that's the thing. It wasn't used to create a new pattern. Like I said, if you go here, you will see somebody else had come up with a similar idea several times. There's one link, and that was in February of 2019. But if you go to her blog, here's one for 2016. There is one from 2016. And this is one from May of 2020. Prior to when this one was released. The one that my friend sent me the picture of. So this one is from 2020. So that's the closest one I could find prior to the Carrie Kehoe scarf. So there's been other versions of this scarf put out from other designers prior to her doing hers. And she didn't seem, like I said, the designer, she left a nice note, but this other person basically saying that she said the Kehoe technique is not new as you stated, but it was used to create a new pattern that applies to any technique such as cables and ribbons, which can also be used to create a new pattern. As a designer, I understand that it takes time and money to create something. Understandable instructions. I hope someone likes your efforts enough to buy the item. That wasn't the purpose. The purpose of the item was to challenge me and to challenge my crochet skills. And my friend was very happy with it. And she was like, and I do not care for the way you diminish the value of the pattern for creating this otherwise lovely scarf. And I told people to start with that I would not pay $7 for a pattern. I work full time. My husband works part time. We have a mortgage and stuff. I'm not paying $7 for a pattern when I can come up with a similar item just by studying it and figuring it out on my own, which is what I did. I figured out a version that worked for my friend, and she's very happy with it. And just like I said, I did a template when I was trying to figure it out from the picture. And then I have my notes and my drawing that I use to figure out what will be work for my friend, because she's broad shouldered, so I had to make a bigger one. So the one that I came up with worsted weight yarn used over 100 and some stitches. It just, you don't, I'm saying, you don't see me going around to people channels and saying, um, you know, I just don't get it. I just don't get it. But you know, why it is what it is. And the designer, like I said, the designer didn't say nothing about the thing. It didn't make her feel bad. And people, like I told people, if you want to go and buy the pattern, if you don't want to try to figure it out on your own, and this is the name of the pattern, you can go to Ravelry and buy it if you can afford it. I cannot afford it. So I'd rather sit here and try and figure it out on my own. I got plenty of yarn from my stash. Thank God for that I have a stash that I can sit there and try and figure stuff out. You know what I'm saying? So I just don't get it. I just don't get it. I mean, no, mine don't look exactly like hers, and it ain't going to, because I didn't use the yarn she used. 2, I didn't use the hook size she used. 3, my pattern is not, what I came up with is not like her pattern. So it's not going to look like hers. And I'm not trying to put a pattern out there. I don't need to, because there's a couple of free ones already out there with multiple keyholes. So why would I do a pattern when I could just go to one of the free ones if I wanted to? So yeah, it's just, I don't know. I just come up from making some chicken salad for my husband. And and I was like, sometimes I check to see if anybody is on live. Like, Dreamy be on late and stuff, but I didn't see her on. And I was reading that, like, I'm like, I'll just check and see if I got any new messages and stuff, that popped up in my feed. And I was like, really? Seriously? Should I just let it go, or should I say something? I don't want to really get into the rant, but I got into a rant. Oh. Like I said, I'm 53 years old now. I've been crocheting probably since I was 5 or 6 years old, when they taught me how to do the chain. And then they taught me how to do the granny square. And then they taught me how to do the granny hexagon. And then my friend, when I was in the Navy, I was still doing just like double crochet and half double crochet shawls and scarves and hats and all that stuff. But my friend, she taught me how to read patterns and read charts. And that's why opened it up for me when I was stationed at Camp Lejeune. And so now somebody can show me a picture and say, well, hey, you think you can make something like this? And I'll try it. So that's what I did. And I shared it with y'all to show that you shouldn't be scared to try things just from a picture. Just take that picture and figure stuff out. And you could figure it out. You never know what might happen. You might lose your internet. Your computer might crash and you lose all your patterns. You might forget your password to Google and you can't get access to your Google Drive. Lots of things can happen and you don't have them patterns. But if you have confidence in yourself that you can look at a picture and figure something out, then the world is your oyster. It might not look exactly like what the picture somebody showed you, or that dress you saw somebody wearing, or that shawl you saw on a movie. That's one of the other things that we do sometimes when we're watching the Japanese movies. And I love Korean dramas. And sometimes they have some beautiful crochet and knit items on those dramas. I know I would never find them patterns. But I can try and make some of those hats and cute hats and stuff that they be wearing on those dramas. Have I stolen that? No. It was on a freaking movie and stuff. There's no way I can find that Korean pattern or that Japanese pattern. So I use that image to try to figure out something similar just because I love that movie and I love that item. Senora Humphrey. Shoot, almost enough to make me want to go and get me something sweet to eat, which I ain't got no business eating nothing sweet before I go to bed. I have to give myself a shot. I'll be good. I'll just drink my water. I need to go back and read all y'all comments and stuff. I forgot it was live. I was looking at my because I got more than one camera hooked up to my computer. And so I was looking at my UCam, thinking that I was doing it to upload it, and I forgotten that I had actually started the StreamYard. I forgot all about it. Let me get Nightbot on real quick so y'all can share y'all. Let me see if he's on. Oh no, cancel. Open a new window. There we go. So y'all can share y'all. There we go. So Nightbot's up. So type in the word purple. Hey Dreeny, type in the word purple, and so y'all can share y'all links to your channels. Dreeny, I don't know what I'm gonna do with my the gray hair is coming back already so fast. Look at that. Look at it. It ain't only been like 2 weeks since I started back going to the job. And that gray hair already popping back up. Disrespectful gray hair. So if y'all got clear skies tonight where y'all live at, you can go out and you can see the moon and you can see Mars. But every time in Virginia, when we have something nice showing up, we get clouds. Yeah. Girl, I can't. Do y'all see how much younger I look with this dark hair? That gray hair made me look so old. It made me look 53 years old. But when I died, people be like, do you age? I saw that new hat that you made. I got to look at that video when I get a chance. But when I got home, I went and started playing. It's different when you're sitting at home. When you're sitting at home working, as soon as I log off at 4:30, boom, I can be right here, watching y'all, watching Granny D, watching BJ, doing and stuff. But because I'm at work, I got to get picked up and then get driven home. And by the time I get home, Granny D's almost done. And sometimes I get home in time to see BJ, but it all depends on the traffic because we got all these military bases around us. So some days the traffic is horrible because of wrecks and stuff, and some days the traffic is good. Some days we got to go by the grocery store. It's frustrating. Yeah. And then I got to watch the videos of the new babies on Miguel's channel. So I've been enjoying watching the little peeps. Girl, these trees are confused up here. They are confused. The last time we started getting weather like this, where it was like we had 2 or 3 days in the 70s, then it would drop back down to the 40s and 50s and drop back down at night into the 30s. These trees, like my fig tree, started putting out the flowers for the figs early and stuff. And then we got ice and snow. In March, we got ice and snow. In April, we got ice and snow. In May, and we end up getting snow in June. Snow in June. Yes, snow in June. And it stayed on the ground for a while. That ice and snow in June was on the ground for like a week and a half. Like the kids finished school with snow and ice still on the ground. Yeah, yeah. And then we had one of the hottest summers on record. So all the dogwoods are blooming, all the tulip trees are blooming, the cherry trees are starting to bloom. It's crazy, crazy, crazy weather. And yeah, I have my allergy medicine. I got an allergy, a bottle of allergy medicine at work, and I got the one. This is the one for nighttime, the Allegra, and because this year I do the Allegra and the what's the one that start with a C? Y'all know what I'm talking about. It starts with a C. Come on now. Because last year I did the Zyrtec. What is it called? Citrus C. It starts with a C. Claritin. Claritin. So this year it's the Allegra at night and the Claritin during the day. And if the Claritin isn't working, then I'll switch back to the Zyrtec and Allegra. So, but yeah. And if the neither of those work, then I have to get the supposedly non-sleepy Benadryl. But it still make me sleepy, so I have to take it at night and take the Allegra during the day. So yeah, because and the thing that's really gonna knock me out is when them freaking what's the crepe myrtles here in Norfolk start blooming. Oh my god, them things bloom like 4 times or 5 times a year, depending on how warm it is. Yes, them things horrible, horrible for my allergies. Oh, you have to take the allergy shots too. Oh, it's horrible. I'm up because I got riled up. So that's why I'm up. That's why I'm up. So I couldn't hold my mule, so I had to let that mule pull a few rows on the plow, get it out my system so I could go to bed and not have that mess on my mind when I go to bed. Yep, that's why I'm up. I don't know if you saw my videos earlier this week where my friend sent me that picture and asked me to see if I could try and make something similar to that for her. Yeah. And then I was like, I put the picture through Google, and Google pulled up Ravelry, the picture, pulled up the pattern, and the pattern was $7. And I'm on a budget, and I was like, I ain't spending $7 on a pattern. I said it just looks like double crochet and stuff to me. So I figured out a pattern that worked for me. So and I did a prototype, which was two two of the loops, and that turned out okay. So then I decided to go ahead and go for it. But yeah, and then I gave my friend the scarf today. So that's like her Easter scarf slash cowl. No, I was talking about the person that posted, not the designer of the pattern. The somebody who purchased the pattern posted and was like, oh yeah. Let me see if I can find it for you. I'll read it to you. But like I was saying, like I was showing y'all, it's there's nothing new under the sun. There's been several crochet and knit patterns with multiple um keyholes in there to pull the tail through. It's not in the chat. It was on the comments. The actual person who made it, she didn't say nothing negative. Um, it was somebody who had purchased the pattern before. I need to go to bed because I gotta get up early enough to stop by the grocery store and get some saltines for this chicken salad in the morning. Let me see. Girl, that chicken salad was good. It was good. If you go to the grocery store, they have in the was it in the bacon section? I think it was in the bacon aisle. But they had it was at the food line here. Um I know I told y'all about the walnut and cranberry that they had, like you could add it to stuffing and stuff. But they got like small bags of it at the food line. Cause I got like a big bag when me and my sister went to the what's that thing called? The Walmart Sam's Club. We went to Sam's Club. And so I got a big bag from there. But I already used up all of it now. And so I added that walnut and cranberry to the chicken salad with curry, salt and pepper, and a little bit of Italian seasoning, and 4 hard-boiled eggs, a jar of sweet cube pickles, and then I chopped all that stuff up together. And then you check like how much it is before you add your. I add Miracle Whip because I don't like mayonnaise. If you like mayonnaise, you can add mayonnaise. And so then I took and I put. If I had to measure it out, I would say that it was probably a half a cup of Miracle Whip, and I chopped all that up together, mixed it up real good. I tasted it again, and I like for mine to be a little bit, not like dripping with juices or nothing, but it'd be like a little bit, like a little, just a little juicy. And so I added, like another, not a half a cup, but like a fourth of a cup more of Miracle Whip to it, and added all that in to that, and then it was just a perfect moistness, the perfect consistency. It was awesome. Just right for your crackers where it ain't so heavy it's gonna break your crackers up. You can just scoop it up and bite. Yes. And you have like the bits of the craisins, the bits of the cube pickles. It is good. It is so good. You got that sweetness, you got that tartness, and then you got the chicken. So good. So good. So I'll be taking some of that to work with me tomorrow for my coworkers. And I made them cookies this week. So that's like I told you, the first day at work, the first thing Derek said, I sure missed them chocolate chip cookies you used to make us. So I took them cookies on Monday. I'm taking them the chicken salad tomorrow. And then that's gonna be it probably for a while. Unless we get to talking about food. Usually we'll start talking about food and it'll be something that'll make you get a taste for it. Like I'm already planning to make me a pot of neck bones with white potatoes and green beans, okra, and peas in it. It's gonna be so good, so good. That Southern food, man. Yep, yep. So yeah, and I had posted links. Greedy, I had posted links to the other people who came out with similar patterns before she released her pattern. Um, there's a knit pattern. There's several crochet patterns that came out before she released her pattern. So it's like I said, there's nothing new under the sun. And if you go to one of the ladies' websites, the pattern was free. If you went to her website, it was a free pattern. And one of them has a free download on Ravelry where the pattern is free. And she did hers in Tunisian crochet as well. So there's different versions of that similar design out there. Girl, if you hungry, eat. My grandma always said, if you hungry, eat. Don't go to bed hungry. Because she always told me you're going to sleep miserably. So you need to make you something to eat and have a little nibble on something just to take that hunger away until the morning. And that's what you need to do. Felicia. Felicia. Let me see. And you know what else you could make, Felicia? That would be fast and easy. You could take and you could toast you some bread, get you a slice of cheese, and fry you up an egg and sprinkle it with salt and pepper. Put a little bit of hot sauce on it and put some Miracle Whip, or if you don't eat Miracle Whip, your coleslaw on the bread. Put your cheese on top of the Miracle Whip, and put your fried egg up there. Oh my God, a toasted fried egg sandwich with some cheese and Miracle Whip, girl, and that hot sauce just brings it all together. And they had Texas Pete on sale at the Food Line today too. So I was tempted to get some, but I know I would have been making. Well, I don't make the pulled pork that much. I'll do it maybe once a year now, cause I ain't got no business eating no pork. But I do the pulled chicken all the time. Like get some chicken and take that chicken breast and pull it apart, and I'll season it just like I was gonna season some pulled pork. So it'd be like chicken, pulled pork, but it tastes so good. People won't even realize it's not pulled pork. They'll think it's pulled pork, even though it's chicken. If I take it home, so that's one way not to eat pork. And then you can fix a lot of stuff that you would do pork wise using the chicken breast or turkey breast. Yeah. And then my friend, he posted a picture Sunday night. He made a beautiful roast. That thing was falling apart. You touch it with the fork and it would just fall out. So he made a nice pork roast, not pork roast, a beef roast, and he had carrots and cabbage, and I think it was something else he had. I couldn't, probably celery. But yeah, that roast looked so good, and that sauce, the juice off of that roast was just, oh, like you just put it over your rice. I just like he should have had a big thing of rice to pour that juice over the rice. That would have been so good. Mm. Hey, Miss Joy, how are you? So how many more hats you got to make, Dreamy? I know your mama's showing that hat off. purple to share your link, Joy. Girl, I'm telling you. And look, you know them hats? Those hats used to be, that was like the bottom. You know them bed dolls from the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and even like the early 80s, people were still making them bed dolls. Those hats was the skirt. That was like the skirt for them bed dolls. And you would make a piece and you would sew the bed doll almost shut, and then you would stuff it with scrap cloth or stuff, whatever you had to stuff the bottom of that skirt with, and then you would put something heavy in there to weigh it down. So the like, I think what they use like a little bag of sand that they would put in there to weigh the doll down so the doll would sit up on the bed. And that ruffle skirt, it was like a ruffle skirt, like how that hat is. It was like the skirt on the bed doll. And I have an old video where I had showed where my mama had found one of them bed dolls at an auction or something, and she had got it and she had gave it to me, and I didn't want it. I was like, I want this ugly thing. I wish I had kept it now, but I gave it to the kid. I think it ended back up at a thrift store. But yeah, them bed dolls. I remember when they would get up in the morning, they would fix their beds. They would take that bed doll and sit it on top of that bed, and you better not touch their bed for the whole day. They better not. You better not go there messing with that doll, messing with that bed. None of that stuff. Mm-mm. But yep. And used to remember you used to have those I don't know if y'all old as I am and you grew up in the country where we didn't have no highfalutin stuff. They had those hats. Remember those hats the men had? They had that fur all around the hat, but it was like a leather on the top, like a Kango leather. But then it had just like your ruffle hats. They love that fur went all the way around the hat like that. It's like those Russian hats. Almost like some of them were like a pillbox. Some of them was like a skull cap on the top. It depends on the guy how he liked his hat made. And you know, remember those those blanket toppers that went on the bed? They had those balls that hung down all around the blanket. You had like them balls, it was like a crochet edge, and then it had those balls all around the edge. And my cats used to tear them things to pieces. Around the yep, popping beer cans. What was the other thing they used to have? They had, well, it was filet crochet. They had over the kitchen window, and then they had them little balls that hung down from that too, and it went up at like an angle like that, and then it went straight across. It was like straight across, and then it went down at like an angle. The filet crochet, and they had the little balls hanging up all along that thing. And them vans from the 60s and 70s. Remember the vans? They windshield, at the top of the windshield, they had them little balls hanging down. And the vans that had like the bench seat that could fold down into a bed. All the windows had like the little shutter thing on them, and then you raise up the shutter. They had them little ball the curtains with the little balls on the ends hanging out. So when the van was driving them, you see the little balls just waving back and forth. I tell you, you look at some of the stuff that you remember growing up, and you be saying like, "Lord help them people." You be saying like, "Lord help them." I can't believe some of the stuff that they did when we were growing up. Yes, girl, yes, that orange or green or that brown. Remember the one that was brown, like it was this ugly brown, like puke, like you was like the color of it was like, ugh, what do you call it, doodoo brown. That's part of what it's like. It had carpet on the dashboard. And I don't know, a lot of y'all young people won't even remember, don't even know nothing about that. They had actual carpet on the dashboard. Or that velour. Remember that satiny velour carpeting that they will have on the dashboards. They're like all shiny and purple. It was purple. A lot of times it was purple or it was that burnt orange. Mm-hmm. Yes. And everybody had them zebra striped or them tiger striped chair covers, seat covers for their vans and cars and stuff. Oh, I feel so much better now. It's best not to sleep on stuff like that. It's just let it, it's get it out and let it go. Avocado green, burnt orange, doodle brown, puke green. What was the other color? That bright neon orange. Um, that it wasn't a hot pink. It was like what they call it, country rose. That country rose. They had a country rose. They had a country blue, and then they had this ugly yellow. Oh, it was like a brown, a yellow on the brown spectrum. It looked like, what did it look like? It won't. It was like spice mustard, brownish yellow color. You know what I'm talking about? It wasn't like a bright yellow. It wasn't like a. It was like a brownish yellow, but it was ugly. It was ugly. I don't even know what people saw in that. That color was ugly. You couldn't even call it yellow ochre because it was just too much brown. It was too. It was too much on the brown side of yellow. And Brady Butch colors, Joyce. Oh yes, and it's we had like vests, we had them vests, matching pants. They were bell bottoms, and you had the vest and the matching pants, and you had like a white shirt you wore up under it with them wide tail collars. And collars are so wide they could fly away on them. The wind caught them, it would drag you back. And so you wore them wide collared shirts up under your vest and your bell bottoms and your shoes. Everybody's shoes had them wooden heels on them back then. Even if you want them like a little 1-inch heel, your shoes had wooden heels on real wood. You could knock somebody out with them shoes. Lord help us. Them shoes, you could probably get some money for them shoes today with them wooden heels. They probably like collectibles and stuff now. I bet you ain't Ruth old barn up there at my cousin's house. I bet you they got all them old mini skirts and all that stuff is in there. She kept everything. Everything. But ain't no way you could get me to go up in there. You eat up wild black widow or brown recluse or rattlesnake. Mm-mm. Oh, you type the word purple. Oh, the bodysuit. Look, what's them things that people used to wear? That's when them things first came out. People don't realize that. They think it's something new. Them onesies, them grown folk onesies. Remember them bodysuits? You had to take that whole bodysuit off to pee. You couldn't just open it up somewhere. You had to take them all the way off. That's where them onesies originated from back in the 60s and 70s for them grown folk, crazy grown folk. Mm-hmm. Then they started making them with the snaps, the bodysuit with the snap, so you didn't have to take the whole thing off to go to the bathroom. That's why when they were coming out with them onesies a couple years ago before the COVID, I was like, them people didn't learn nothing from us in the 70s. They didn't learn to put no snaps in them things. You ain't got to take the whole thing off. You just unsnap it, lift it up, and then you can go to the bathroom. Instead of having to peel, you in the toilet. You don't know what kind of germs is in there. And now you got to take all your clothes off just to pee. Come on now. Y'all done lost your minds. We figured that mess out in the 60s and 70s. And y'all done gone back in time to the stupidity. Yep, the bodysuits with the snaps in them. Mm-hmm. After people done peed on themselves too much trying to get out them clothes, they realize there's a better way. Somebody, mama or grandmama, cut that bodysuit and put snaps in it. Because we didn't have Velcro yet. Yes, them rompers. That's what I'm talking about. Oh God, I wish I could find that picture so I could show y'all. This lady is she looked like a big fat M&M, an M&M, like the M&Ms. All she needed was some white gloves. She had on this yellow romper, and she was standing beside this light pole, and she was roly poly. All she needed was the white gloves. That's all she needed. I got a picture of her somewhere, and when I find it, I'll show it to y'all one day. But I tell y'all, I was laughing so hard in that car. They probably got that car fit to flip over from me laughing, and the car was shaking. And my husband had went up to the 7-Eleven. I was like, didn't nobody tell you not to leave the house today wearing it? Mm-mm-mm. Just like when I see them children walking around in their pajamas, knowing they just rolled up out the bed and they in Walmart in their pajamas and flip flops. Why would you wear something that you got to take the whole thing off just to go to the bathroom? And then they was showing those, what was it, Burning Man? And they were showing Cam Newton, a grown man, wearing some daggone rompers. I was like, some people got too much money. Foolishness. And he's of that age, in his 30s and stuff. That's when men start suffering what I call it old man pee syndrome, where they don't know when it's going to hit them when they got to run to the bathroom to pee. You look over, go look at the lederhosen and videos for the Germans when they doing they like maypole and stuff like that. Even they know to have zippers and stuff on their pants. All that beer they be drinking. They know they gotta go to the bathroom. Dreamy, when you gonna be watching the baby? The new baby? Or that baby still too new, the mama ain't giving it to you yet? Oh, all right, I gotta go to bed. Before I know it, my alarm clock will be running, telling me to get up. Thank y'all for hanging out with me. Let me vent with y'all. I'm sorry I forgot that the thing was, oh, she too new. They ain't got over that love and the new baby yet. They ain't ready to drop her off on you. It's gonna happen soon. I tell you, time it start getting warm, next thing you know, you're gonna have 2 babies. Mm-hmm. Yep. You're gonna have your 2 babies. Yeah. Watch, Dreamy. You think I'm joking? Um, I'm telling you the God honest truth. As soon as it start getting warm and they want to be getting out and about without no babies, you gonna be, Aunt Dreamy, can you watch the baby? Aunt Dreamy, can you watch the baby? You gonna be like, yeah, girl. So I gotta make some baby stuff. One of my friend Amber, she's pregnant. I think her daughter's like 9 or 10 years old. She's crazy. Is that church song? Starting all over again. It's gonna be rough. and tough. Oh, so hard. But we gonna make it. I used to sing that song at church. I can't remember all of it no more. I'm gonna have to look it up now. It's gonna bother me. Something when trouble surrounds you and something, something, something. Oh, now I'm gonna have to find that song before I go to bed. I'm telling you, girl. Me and somebody was talking about that at work. How the baby was like her baby had just turned 18, and she thought she was going through the change. Like she was going through some changes, all right. So she didn't go to the doctor because she thought she was going through menopause. And then she started gaining weight, and she was like hungry, want to eat weird stuff. And her husband told her, the last time you was acting like this, you was pregnant with the baby. Now the baby just turned 18 and graduated from high school, and she thinking she going through the change. So her husband went and got a pregnancy test. and, told, and told her to take the pregnancy test. And she's like, boy, I'm not pregnant. I'm going through the change. My mama was in her late 40s when she went through the change. And her husband sitting there like, I'm telling you, you pregnant. Having me going and buying like these different ice creams and kosher dill pickles. And he's like, you ain't touched the kosher dill pickles since you were pregnant with our daughter. And so she wouldn't take the test. She wouldn't take the pregnancy test because she was for sure that she was going through the change. Her husband was telling everybody she pregnant. She pregnant. Her husband was all excited. He's like, I hope it's a boy. But I think all the other kids was girls. And so she came into work. When we first come back to work, she came in. I looked down and I said, you got to put on some weight. But you said, you don't look like you fat like them other girls. It's all in your belly area. And she said, don't bother me, Miss Juanita. You're going to make me mad. And so she was telling me, he told me all about it. And she said her husband, that weekend, her husband finally got her to take the pregnancy test. And it was positive. This girl, 47 years old, her baby just graduated from high school and turned 18. and she, and because she was being stubborn, nothing you can do now. She like 7.5 months pregnant now. So she gonna have this baby. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I'm going through the change. You going through the change. You got some changes coming. 18 more years of changes. Mm-mm. Can you imagine though? 18 more years. Girl, it's when you give up. I've seen it happen so many times. It ain't even funny. When people give up on in vitro, give up on trying to get pregnant, just decide to start living their life and enjoying their life and accepting what would be will be. And then they start getting sick, throwing up, and next thing you know, they're pregnant. It happened to this other lady. She's a Hispanic lady. Her and her husband they did everything. Did in vitro, did Viagra. They've been trying to have babies since they was in their teens. That's how long they had been together, since high school. And right before COVID struck, she got pregnant and had her baby, their only child. And I'm 53. I think she's like 54, 55. And her doctor still can't believe that she got pregnant and had a baby. So I'll like, what would be would be. If it's meant to be, it'll happen. You know, just Just live your life, enjoy life, and if it's meant to be, it'll happen. If not, you can always adopt a child. There are plenty of little babies out there need a mama and daddy. You ain't got to adopt 5 or 6 kids. You can just get you one. I told my husband if I had a tubal ligation plan when I after my son I went in 2 weeks later to have my tubal ligation done, and I had a plan. And when I told that doctor I want my tubes cut, I want 2 millimeters removed from each side of the fallopian tube, and I want them cauterized. She said, "Don't you realize that that's permanent?" I said, "It's a tubal ligation. It's supposed to be permanent." She said, "But why did something happen to your children like what happened to that woman at the Oklahoma bombing?" I said, "Honey, let me explain something to you. If something takes all 4 of my children away from me, you best believe I'm with them and God has taken me too. And if not, I will not be soon far behind them." And she's like, look at me like, "Well, why would you do that when you just have?" I said, "Uh. 4 children. If I lose all 4 of my children, do you really think I'm gonna run out and get pregnant and have another baby?" You're not being very realistic here. But I'm being very realistic with telling you this is how I want my surgery done. And if you can't do my surgery the way I want it done, then you need to put me in with another doctor, because you're not gonna have me like my first cousin thinking that she had her tubes tied after her third child. And then here it come, them children grown and gone. She's 47 years old, 48 years old, living her life, enjoying all her children being grown. And because they had so much, cancer and stuff in her family, she started getting sick and she got scared that she had cancer. And she went to the doctor and they did all these breast tests on her, checking her all this uterus stuff. And then when the uterus stuff come back, there was a cyst-like object. So they wanted to do more tests to see if it was some type of cancer in her uterus, but it won't. It was a baby. She was pregnant. And she had her tubes tied. So I was like, no. I want to make sure mine ain't never going to go back together. And if they do, I'm going to sue somebody. They're going to name that child Miracle. Mm-mm. She said, "Well, this will be permanent. I mean, you'll have cauterized both sides of your tubes and remove so much that they'll never be able to put." I said, it's a tubal ligation. I have 4. I do not want no more. No more. But what, my husband got nothing to do with my body? He ain't got nothing to do with my body. If he wants some more children, he gonna have to divorce me and go find him another woman, because I'm not having them. I got 4. 4. That was enough. I got my son. I'm done. That's all I wanted was a boy. I got them. What they call it, an heir and 3 spares. I wanted a son from the first one, but he was the last one. And he just as spoiled as I don't know what. Spoiled boy. I'm trying to remember who it was. I don't know if it was somebody at work. Yeah, a girl at work. She was a big, heavyset girl. And they had told her that she couldn't have no babies. And she thought she was just having a lot of gas pain and stuff. And she went into the bathroom and felt the baby head come out. They had to call an ambulance for her and try to keep her from pushing that baby out in the bathroom. And the ambulance got there. And they had told her that because she was so obese and stuff that, her cycle wasn't regular and stuff, that she couldn't have no children. And her and her husband, sure enough, she had that baby. And it's funny because now she done lost so much weight during COVID from she going for walks and stuff like that, taking the baby for walks during her lunch hour and stuff while she was at home. You're not at work eating the bad food and stuff. You're at home. You can make your meals, plan your meals, and then you can go for walks and stuff. She lost. I I think she probably had lost about 120, 130 pounds. She don't look nothing like she used to before she had after she had that baby. She's doing really well for herself as far as her health is concerned. I think having that baby too probably took a bunch of stress and stuff off of them. You know, for some people that stress keep the weight on you too. Let that stress go. Just let it go. Just live your life. I was supposed to have difficulty getting pregnant because your uterus is supposed to be flipped forward towards your pelvis, kind of. And they call it introverted when it flips back towards your spine. It's harder for, depends on how far back it's flipped towards your spine. But mine is flipped back that way, and so it was supposed to be difficult for me to get pregnant. So the first two, like 1989 and 1992, and then there's a gap 97 and 99 for the last two. My husband's snoring like I don't know what. Stress messes up everything. Stress messes up everything in your body. You can, people just let that mess go. Just let it go. Just try to be happy and live your life the best way you can. Just let it go. Don't keep it hid up inside of you. Just go ahead and talk and get it out and let it go. You know, they used to tell us, change the things you can change, and then let the things you can't change go. If you can't change it, don't worry about it. Let it go. It sounds like I should be nosy. Probably somebody. These children, I don't understand them. If you can't afford them car payments before you got your income tax payment, how you think you're going to be able to afford them car payments when you go out and buy another car, a car with an income tax? Now the money, all the money gone. If you weren't making enough before, how are you going to be making enough now to make them car payments? So for the next couple of months, every day you're going to be hearing these trucks roaming around at night, pulling up to these cars and dragging them away. Every night. Get up in the morning and you see these tow trucks driving around through the neighborhood. It's crazy. I don't understand, but they say a fool and their money is soon parted. It's the truth. And then you'll have people like their mamas live over here in this neighborhood, but they live somewhere else. They got the repo man trying to get the car, so they bring the car over here and park it at the mama house. Like they don't know who your mama is. They just go and they don't understand. All they gotta do is pull your credit report, and it will show the house, the address that you have lived in for the last 10 years. And usually one of them is your mama's address. Or if your mama signed anything for you, then she's on the credit report as a co-signer. And they have access to her home information too, somewhere on your credit report. I don't understand these children. It's like, y'all don't think. Can y'all hear my husband snoring? They were supposed to send him a CPAP machine like 3 months ago after he did all that testing and stuff at the VA hospital, and they said that he qualified for one. Nah, it's not past our last frost date. I mean, like, my husband cut the grass and stuff today, and we put it on the mulch pile. We got to rotate the mulch pile this weekend, and I got to prune back. Still haven't pruned back my fig tree, so I'll just wait now and then prune it back this fall coming up. But as far as tilling and stuff, I haven't started doing none of that because the weather here is notorious. The last frost date here usually don't come until April, and there's some things I can go ahead and start planting in like the buckets and stuff, like my garlic and my onions and stuff like that. I can go ahead and start putting down some of the kale, the radishes and stuff like that. Stuff that to take a little bit of cold. But I'm telling you, we are probably gonna end up getting some ice or snow or down in the 30s or freezing temperatures in March and April. If we don't, I'll be surprised. But some of the stuff I can plant, I'll go ahead and get my bags ready and stuff, and I'll go ahead and till and start getting certain areas ready. Like for my potatoes and stuff, I can go ahead and put the potatoes down because they're pretty good when it comes to the heat, knowing when to grow. But I got to be looking out there to see if I got any tomatoes volunteering, so I can pot them up and move them into the garage so they won't freeze. But nah, it's still early days for gardening here in Virginia. Mm-mm. Cause like I said, we had them 3 days with yeah, I know, and it's the last time this happened, it killed almost all the figs on my fig tree. The fig tree started putting out figs early, and we ended up getting ice storms like every week on a Thursday. We started getting ice storms in like March, and we ended up having a snowstorm in June. People were talking about going the the zoo. It was one of the last times the Ringling brothers, before they shut down, they had come to Virginia, and we had snow that day. So, like I said, with the cherry trees, the tulip trees, all them trees is blooming here in Virginia way early. They shouldn't be blooming until like mid March. Some of them trees should be blooming until mid March, but they already bloomed because they had 70-degree temperatures 3 days in a row. And then on the weekend, it was only like in the 40s or 50s. Today, it got into the 70s here in Norfolk. It got into the 70s today, and it wasn't supposed to be that warm today. But that storm system, it moved out faster than it was supposed to. But then you look out in the Midwest, where they got all them bad thunderstorms and stuff that been going through there. Yeah. Oh, y'all usually can do stuff earlier in Alabama, Georgia, Mississippi. Usually y'all weather is more mild. Um, it's called Hoss. They have a YouTube channel that I watch for gardening and stuff, and I always be jealous because of all the stuff that he be growing. Like pretty much he got something in the ground all year round. Like he'll have like brassicas because it's not getting cold enough, to really kill it. So he'll be getting collards and stuff all throughout the fall and winter. He'll be harvesting collards and greens and stuff like that. Um, I know one thing I want to do this year that I didn't do last year is rutabagas. Rutabagas usually do pretty good here in Virginia where I'm at. So I want to make sure I plant some rutabagas. There are some that like the purple top rutabagas, and then there's some that was like a golden rutabaga. It's like I don't know if it's a Japanese root, but it's like a goldish color rutabaga. I got some seeds for that, so I want to try and get some rutabagas this year. I love rutabagas because the way we cook our rutabaga, well, the way my daddy taught me to cook my rutabagas is we take and we cut it up into the squares, little squares, cube them, and then we boil them with some ham pieces, and you add your salt and pepper, and then if you want to have it like your gravy, like the juice, you want to thicken it up a little bit. Put your slice up a couple of okra and put in there to just get the juice to thicken some for to go in your rice or your potatoes, whatever you're gonna have with it. That's your starch. And then right before you get ready to take it out of the pot, you taste the juice. You taste it, and if it's bitter, then you just add like a tablespoon of sugar to the sauce, to the juice, to sweeten it a little bit. But if it's not bitter, if it tastes nice and sweet already, then you just leave it alone. But we love rutabagas. We love rutabagas. But the thing about it with the garlic is you got to be careful because even though the winter was good and cold, which is good for the garlic, if it gets too warm too fast, a lot of times that rust that attack the leaves, attack the plant. No, we're just talking about the cherry blossom trees just in our neighborhoods and stuff, by our jobs and in the woods and stuff. Those trees are blooming here in Virginia. And that's it's early. I think we went. Where are we at? I've seen those once. The ones in DC, I've seen them one time. I like looking at the videos when they start showing the ones over in Japan and Korea that are blooming. Oh my God, those things are amazing. Didn't one year it wasn't something attacking those cherry blossoms, those cherry trees, in DC? Oh, the wild plum, the purple ones with a real pretty purple color. I prefer seeing the wild dogwoods blooming in the woods and stuff when you drive by on the interstate versus the big ones that they have planted in like the mediums and stuff. I love looking at the wild ones because they're more erratic with how their branches are. It's like spaced apart. It's the way they tilt and stuff. It's just so much more interesting than the pruned dogwood trees. Is where they're because they're those their shape and the wild ones are more of an erratic shape and stuff. That's just me. I like the wild ones a lot better. So, all right, it's 1 o'clock. I gotta get up at 6. So I'm gonna go. Y'all, thank y'all for hanging out with me. Uh, well, hopefully it's a fruit. Is it a fruiting one or is it just gonna be just a decorative one? I just want some good sunny days so that when that's warm, so I can go walking during my lunch break at work, so I can get a tan. Oh, you lucky then. When we were growing up, they wouldn't let us eat the plums off of the plum trees in my grandma yard. She had like one, two, three. There was four plum trees in the yard, and it had some of the sweetest plums you ever had. They wouldn't let us eat them, talking about it was gonna get us sick. It's just they were so superstitious about everything. It's a wild plum tree. God put it on this earth for us to eat the fruit from it. Oh, you're gonna get sick from eating that. Blah 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 blah. Don't let me catch you eating those. And so a lot of the years, them plums just drop down on the ground. The squirrels run, get them. You sit there, be jealous of a squirrel, watching a squirrel eat them plums and stuff. And we couldn't eat them because if they caught us, they'll spank us. We would get spankings for messing with them plums. No, nothing wrong with them plums. Nothing. Those superstitious people. And you can even there's some pawpaw trees out there in the woods, um, behind where my grandma's house is at. I can never find it because it's so tall. And you be looking up, but you can't see the canopy because of all the other stuff. So you enjoy them. You can make preserves and stuff with them too, right? It's just peel them, and you can make some preserves and stuff with them too, or stew them. Like take the pits out and stew them on top of the stove with some apples to put on your biscuits, girl. Mm-mm-mm-mm. Let me go because I've been wanting to go eat something else. See y'all tomorrow probably after work.